Welcome back. Union Smack is back right here. Hibiki TMD, me, myself, Travis right here alongside my co-host, Maniac Matt Tennant. Been a minute, but it's time to go retro again this week. We'll get there in a second. But my friend, welcome back. Pleasure as always. How have you been? Where can everyone catch you? Your fantastic book and all that good.
I have been very jaded with wrestling this week, Travis, as you know. You can catch me on Twitter, as always, at The Perfect Tenant. You can buy our official merchandise, the Union Smack shirt, both of them, the Hibiki TMD shirt, my book, The Undertaker, A Trip Down Death Valley, from unionsmack.bigcartel.com. So get over there and support the podcast. And you can also pick up our new beanie hat. Thank you to Rocky for being the first to purchase that.
Indeed. Get over there, pick up a shirt, pick up a book, pick up a hat. Get everything you need at our store. Also, hit that subscribe right down below. Check us out on ProWrestlingJournal.com. And now, real quick, I do want to take a second to thank my buddy V from the SIJW page on YouTube for asking me to be a part of his brand new podcast coming up. Don't know when it officially starts. It's called Wrestling and Comics, and it's exactly like it sounds. It's talking about wrestling and comics. Honored to be asked to be on that, like I said. Catch him out on SIJW on YouTube. Thank you again, V, for asking me. I'm really excited for this, Matt. I'm not as fluent on like comic knowledge. I know stuff about comics, like a good bit, but it's like ultra uber everything about every hero. No, just not that, you know.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing it because I'm a big comic geek. So yeah, it'll be quite an experience.
Comics and wrestling kind of go hand in hand too. So
yeah, they do.
Like comic books. Other than that, though, it is our No Way Out 2003 episode. Great to be back as usual. Before we get to that, it's the way we always like to start off things. And for once, nobody died this week, Matt. We can start off on a positive note.
Yeah, is this the first podcast we've done this year where nobody's died at the beginning of it? I feel like it is, like Mean Gene, and then Pedro Morales, and then I'm sure we had someone else as well.
I feel like if anybody would fact check that for us, it'd be our buddy Rocky. But anybody fact check that for us, you might be right. That's really sad if it is.
That's depressing, isn't it? It's like, it's the 1st of March as we record this. Well, at least it is for me here. And it's the first episode of the year. No one's died. Jesus Christ.
Well,
in fact, the only thing that's died this week is my passion for professional wrestling, Travis. So
some things died this week. Also, some of my brain cells died from listening. And I know it's a little older by now. It's about a week and a half old, but we haven't had a chance to talk about it. I've been stewing. I've been waiting. I've been frothing at the mouth to talk about the comments Paige made about, I forget whatever paper or magazine, something she did an interview for, but she made the direct quote to the effect of, WWE is not to blame for women's wrestling not for taking so long to catch on. The fans are to blame, not WWE, or never with WWE. But the words never and not in WWE, she made it clear that it was our fault, Matt, that it took to like Sasha and Bayley to take over in 2015 or whatever, with the women's revolution to kick in. It was our fault until then. My, oh my, my, oh my, oh my, the holes in this woman's theory are astronomical.
I agree. I mean, but she's basically saying like the pillar fights, the bra and panty matches, and all the other shit that we ever got was our fault. It was our idea. You know, we were petitioning Vince for all of that. Apparently, I think she needs to take Vince's cock in the mouth and just wise up.
Yeah,
because she surely can't mean it. It's like all them stupid words that she said. She surely can't look back as a pioneer of the women's evolution and mean what she said. And if she does, that's quite frightening.
It is. And it's also quite frightening that there's people out defending her. And there's other people out there, and I can see their point, but they're like, it's kind of right. It's kind of both there. It's kind of both the fans' fault and both WWE faults. And to an extent, I can see that. But here's the thing. What have we been presented with? The only time that I can really see us taking the blame for it, even though I feel like to live crowds, I just feel like the business was in the shits in 1994. When it was Alundra Blaze and Bull Nakano, those matches were better than the guys' matches sometimes. But, it was never presented that. Like, so actually, on certain Raws, Alundra Blaze would have some pretty prominently featured matches. But other than that, I mean, we didn't take it seriously because we didn't take the product seriously in general. We had Doink. We had Duke the Dumpster Drosy in 94. What were we presented with in the Attitude Era? Flat out, sex.
Yep. Sex Nicole Bass.
I need a shirt now that just says sex Nicole Bass. No space in between. You're right. You're right. And people like Deborah and Fabulous Moolah, God, just uh, and then even in the Ruthless Aggression era, what were we supposed to get excited about? Candice Michelle or Ashley Massaro or Christy Hemme? Trish Stratus was the diamond in the rough. Let's say it, her and Lita. But honestly, compared to some of the women now and some of the women in the glory days, Trish Stratus, in a way, kind of can't hold a candle to some of them. My opinion. I know it's a hot take, but I just feel like Trish stood out more because of the era she was in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can't argue with that, really.
Paige is an idiot. Paige is the fact that she made these comments
Moron.
with this interview was to promote her movie coming out a few days later. Come see my movie, guys. Fuck you, by the way. It's your fault, but come out and pay to see me. What the?
Yep.
Wow.
I think with this interview, she's proved that, there's only one thing she should be doing with that mouth, and it's not talking.
Booyah. And
So
everyone's got their demons, and no one's perfect. But from the patterns we've seen from Paige so far, and I know this kind of segues into this. We're not going to cover it, but I just want to bring it up for topical reasons. China just announced the Hall of Fame. Paige, in a way, like her personal life, she's kind of like the modern China. She's turning into that because I'm sure a year from now her life will be a mess again, and it's a man's fault,
yeah.
and blah blah blah, and my life's so hard, and yada yada. Just to Indy, back to your
Yeah.
enjoy the ride. It sucks you had to retire, but just shut your mouth if you're gonna just open it up and just spew diarrhea from it. This was she wasn't thinking clearly. I don't know. I don't know if this interview took place at 7 in the fucking morning. I don't know if she was out. I don't know what she was thinking, but she wasn't. There's no way anyone
No.
rationalize those comments. That's flat out unfair. And I know the fans are dickheads sometimes. That sector of the IWC, that ugly section of wrestling fans that we're ashamed to claim our own, Matt. You know who I'm talking about. Everybody knows who I'm talking about. But we're not all like that. Like, Jesus Christ. It's such a company PR answer. It made me sick. It was just pathetic. And that's all I got to say about it. Glad I got it out.
Yeah, and there's nothing I can add to that, so I think we should move on.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to start it off so angry, but my God, lady. Ugh. Matt, what else is on the agenda here? You take it.
Next up, we've got the announcement. Spoiler alert for for people who don't read them. The announcement of Pete Dunne versus Walter at NXT Takeover New York. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Brooklyn, right? Again.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, what can you say? We all know, we all think we know where this is probably going. I've seen no end of Twitter messages here saying that, Walter's going to win. There's even been reports that Pete Dunne's been considered for a main roster push after WrestleMania. So I don't know. Everyone knows how we feel about Walter, Travis. He's fucking boring. I don't agree with ending Pete Dunne's reign, sacrificing it to somebody like Walter. If it had to end, surely, Zach Gibson or someone who's been there since the beginning and helped build it up would have been an ideal candidate. Jordan Devlin. Exactly, a perfect heel. But what people are annoyed about most, and I have to jump on the bandwagon here, is that Pete Dunne is 98% guaranteed to lose the title, and it's not in the UK. Yeah, I'll just feel like along with hundreds of other people, wanted to be there when he lost it, and now he can't be. And this will be the second title change to take place outside the UK. It's like, come on, what the fuck are we paying for? I know being on Takeover would be good for Pete Dunne. It would be good for Walter going forward with the championship because more eyes will be on him. You might attract a larger audience, for the people who are watching Takeover. But at the same time, it's like you've had both of your major title changes outside the UK. What are we paying for? We're paying to sit through hours and hours of weekly tapings, but you're not willing to give us the title change in our own country. fucking ridiculous.
It's getting to the point now, not even that, because Phoenix, I feel like we've been in Phoenix for a year with these tapings.
Yeah. I don't think Worlds Collide help that, but I agree.
Yeah.
And can I just say to all the people going, Walter's brilliant, you know, he should be the next champion. When you're bored of Walter by July, and when he's proved to be, you know, nothing but a flash in the pan, which is going to happen, I will happily sit here in summer, Travis, and say to everybody, I fucking told you so.
Do you think if, and I agree, do you think if Walter ends up beating Pete Dunne, do you think the first challenger will be Tyler Bate and they'll try to recapture what Progress did with that Hogan Andre-esque standoff?
At this point in time, if Walter, and I said it, you know, on last week's podcast, if Walter wins the title, I'm not sure I'll be bothered what they do with it.
Yeah.
And do you know what? I'm not just saying that as a passionate Pete Dunne fan, you know, who'll be very bitter if he loses it to Walter, because I know it's got to come to an end. The reign, as wonderful as it is, has become like a band-aid now. It's just got to be ripped off, I think, because the longer it goes, the worse it is for my nerves. But it's not. Sorry, it's that Walter's not the right guy. You know, if Pete Dunne was going to lose it to even someone like Dragunov, it would be fine. It's the fact that it's Walter. It's not the fact that he's losing it. It's the fact that it's Walter that he's going to lose it to.
It is. There is hope though, because it is WWE, and they've always been known. They've done it. What WrestleMania 10, they changed it. They made an audible, and they've done it on many shows where maybe they could just make Pete win, and Walter either wins it on like a taping or a beat show, or like it'll come out of nowhere. He's jogging off somebody that maybe. I mean, by the time that takeover comes around, that Walter might not be the guy.
There's always that hope, and I am hearing of the next UK takeover in August. And I mean, if we're being honest, Pete Dunne can do both main roster and NXT UK as the champion because, they only tape over 2 nights and it's usually a weekend. So there's always the possibility of that, and I am hearing rumours of a British Strong Style versus a New Ring Camp feud going into the next UK takeover. So maybe he loses it at the next UK takeover instead of Takeover New York, and this is used, to build that feud.
Yeah.
You could easily have Mustache Mountain. Yeah. You could have Mustache Mountain get involved, at this takeover, as well as Eichner and Barthel. So there are ways around making Walter look strong, I suppose, in defeat without making Pete Dunne look, weak with a victory. But I don't know, Travis. I have a very, very worrying feeling about this.
That's one of the great things about wrestling, though, isn't it? To draw that out when it's good, to get that emotion out of you every drop.
Yeah, I suppose.
Because if you predictable and you knew it was going to happen all the time, then it's kind of like, what's the point in a way?
Yeah, I bet the thing is, it's that there's that, but then it's also infuriating because if he does lose, it'll be 1 month before his 2-year anniversary as champion, and it's like everybody wants to see him reach 2 years. Yeah, there are a massive amount of people that want him to reach 1,000 days, and while that's looking heavily unlikely, I don't know. I want it to be a historic reign that ends historically, and I don't think the title can do much for Walter at this point. I mean, Pete Dunne's obviously got bigger aspirations than the UK Championship.
Yeah.
And I don't think he needs the title anymore. The title needs him more, as you'll see when he eventually loses it. But
drop that quote from Man, that tweet this week, or that line in the interview, or whatever he said about Pete.
Which one's that?
The one that he said about Pete. He could see Pete Dunne tearing through, causing havoc on a main roster show.
Yeah. I mean, we can all see it. It's just I don't want it to end. I don't. In my mind, sure. Sorry. See, the thing is I've never been this passionate about a title reign since maybe The Rock's in 2000.
For me, it was Punk. It was Punk's reign I was passionate about. I hated it when it was The Rock. I hated that when it was The Rock that ended it. I know everyone was happy to see The Rock back, but it was so see-through that they were just shoehorning
Yeah,
in for Mania because he was a fucking movie star, and they wanted the shitty goddamn rematch with John Cena. That entire match was a bunch of finisher reversals. The whole match.
yeah, agreed.
But yeah, it was Punk for me. That reign.
So that so for me, it's like this is the first reign I've truly cared about in nearly 20 years. So I mean, I don't know. It is what it is, Travis, and it'll go the way it goes. But as we were saying off air, if he does lose it and he does get a significant push to the main roster, then they better use him right. They better use him right because,
You'll reign.
for me, and we know Vince doesn't care about the fans, but for me, if they bury him, if they use him, but that might just be it for me with WWE. And I'm being completely honest. Like after all these years of sitting through garbage and not using stars that we love properly, it's like if they bury Pete Dunne, it might just be the thing that tips me over the edge.
Everyone's been talking about it too, and I'm still flabbergasted on how those four NXT guys were debuted last week. Talking about Aleister Black,
Hmm.
DIY, and Ricochet, unbelievably lazy and just baffling
Yeah.
that those guys were, especially DIY. I felt fucking insulted. I'm sorry to be so this week. We got to play catch up. Stuff's going down. I felt insulted. We were all invested in that
Yeah.
NXT feud. It was done well, and this is just a slap in the face. Nope, doesn't matter because NXT doesn't count. Fuck you. It's the best show you put out every week consistently. It's
Yeah.
probably, let's say it. If any, picture this. Since 2014, since the first Takeover pay-per-view, picture that company without an NXT there. Just Raw and SmackDown, maybe 205. But that's it. No hip alternative. ROH would be in a different place. New Japan would sure as hell be in a different place because we would have gotten fed up by now and just
Yeah. Right.
I don't want to
Yeah.
have to watch stuff from Japan all the time to be happy, but I do like wrestling enough that if I have to, at a certain point, I'll watch some Japan shows or something to pick me up from the bullshit we've seen this fall and winter from this company on their main shows.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
And I think you could also attribute NXT to a large portion of the network subscribers, who I know there are a very, very large portion who only subscribe for NXT.
My hand's in the
So
air right now while you're saying that. I'm right here.
yeah, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, we subscribe to the classic content as well, like the
That too, but I'm
superstars
just
stuff. You
saying for like a
can't get from
modern
BBC,
show, they're
but
NXT shows. I don't give a fuck about 205. Not after what they did to it. Not I don't care about Raw
nope,
pre-shows, any of that shit. I don't even care about actual Raw, so why would I care about the pre-show? You know what I mean? But anyway,
exactly.
just baffling how they called it. And the last thing on the news before we hit the break and all that stuff, come back. Speaking of, things coming to an end, man, and just coming out of left field. Arn Anderson, after a 10-year
Yeah,
the last Nitro, he's been an agent. That's how long he's been there. One of the greatest, a wrestler's wrestler. You know what I mean? Just let go after apparently old Tuna Meltzer reported this, Matt, a shouting match at a house show last weekend with Vince McMahon, just him and Vince. There's parties saying that both sides are at fault that I've read. No, people have taken sides, so it is what it is. I know no details. Nobody really knows any details yet, but crazy to just let a
yeah,
mind that's still living like that go. And what do you replace it with? Shane Helms, Abyss, Jeff Jarrett, Andre Dunn. Wow, what a week!
yeah. Big week. But what I'll say is what everybody else probably has said and will say is that WWE's loss is AEW's gain because Cody's going to hire Arn Anderson.
It's like peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah,
That's in-house.
yep,
Those guys are like intertwined. They're basically family. Cody and Arn
yeah.
grew up with.
And it amazes me that Vince basically let somebody, a legend like that, go who's got such a great mind for the business over an argument which, I mean, we don't know what it was about, but we can guarantee that Arn Anderson was let go because Vince McMahon couldn't admit that he was wrong and Arn was right.
Yeah, So petty. You know that's a Triple H guy too. It's one of his mentors, and that was kind of like a "fuck you, Paul" from Vince Triple
Yeah,
H too. Probably. I'll see. I'm still the fucking boss. Um,
yeah,
man,
pathetic.
shame, shame, complete shame. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's kind of shocking that that happened because I just thought he was made for life in that company, like a Dusty or something. You know what I mean? Just
yeah,
feel like
I
there should
know.
be a statue of Arn in the Performance Center.
That would be nice.
The
Like the
talent's
one they
always loved him.
unveiled of Ric Flair.
And see, that's another thing. This happened like he was fired on a house show the day before Ric Flair's ceremony on Raw or whatever, right? That angle.
Yeah,
A lot of people are like, "Oh, that sucks." Actually, him and Rick don't get along anymore. A lot of people don't know that. Like in real life, they had a falling out a couple years ago.
yeah,
So well, that's not in the news, Matt. Honestly, before we go back to circa 2003 here in a bit.
yeah. And do you know what? A good week for news, Travis. It's like we said at the top of the show. No one died. It's been a decent week filled news. So
It felt
I don't think there's anything.
like a therapy session, honestly, this week with that clown whore makeup
I
person I was talking
I
to. I'm
I
sorry.
I can tell you had a lot to get off your chest. I'll be honest.
You said that because it was a Paige reference. Don't lie. When we come back, we get the DeLorean. We are going back in time with Doc Brown and Marty McFly. Matt, are you ready to go retro once again? It's No Way Out, 2003, my friend.
Yes, let's get it. Let's do it.
When we come back, Union Smack, stick around. Here's the Bruiserweight.
I'm the Bruiserweight Pete Dunne, and you're listening to the Union Smack podcast.
We are back, Union Smack. My friend Matt, I've run out of things to rhyme. Yes, it's time once again to go back and talk. I did it. Rhymed again. Retro, No Way Out 2003. This took place, obviously, 2003 on the road to WrestleMania 19. So much goodness. I love WrestleMania 19, first of all, Matt. I don't know about you.
Yes, agreed.
So much was happening in the company at this time. So many guys were coming back. There's a lot of anticipation, I remember, as a fan at this time. I was really hyped for this WrestleMania. He wouldn't debut till the Raw after WrestleMania 19, but there was rumors at this time in No Way Out 03 of Goldberg debuting before Mania. That never happened, obviously, but you never.
Yeah.
It was a crazy time in wrestling. Obviously, one of the most notable things you notice from the crowd and just the atmosphere, the look, how night and day. Let's go ahead and say it and get the Iricism that is back then from today, Matt. Holy Lord.
Yeah, exactly. You know, as soon as No Way Out starts, it's like the reaction the fans give, the feel of the pay per view, even down to the little things like the music they used, actual pop music.
Yeah.
I remember listening to that song in my teens.
How old did you
And
feel listening to Evanescence? Everyone heard on the episode.
very old.
My God. And to see it later
Very
on in the
fucking old.
Scott Steiner video package was even better, but we'll
Uh,
get there. But holy goddamn hell, so much to cover on this show. I'll say it all the bat. Thoroughly enjoyed this as a whole. This had a little bit of something for everybody as a wrestling show. And those are the shows I appreciate.
yeah,
And but that's our
yeah,
biggest a gripe with NXT UK. It feels like we say it all the time. Only the main events matter. That's how it feels like on this. This had a pretty. We might differ. Some of this undercard was pretty strong for me. I enjoyed some of these matches on the undercard immensely.
yeah. I think I'd have been in the same boat as you if I, hadn't have watched so much wrestling this week. I came into this in a different mind than I usually come into any review. But that's just because of, the week I've had watching non-stop wrestling. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, let's get right down to it, man. I'll do my best to take your excitement and filter it through me since you're so burnt out, writing a new book and all that goodness.
Yes.
I didn't see this match, but apparently on Sunday Night Heat, because this is when Heat aired right before the pay-per-view on like MTV and stuff. It was Rey Mysterio defeated Jamie Noble. I'm sure that was a good match. This was Jamie Noble with Nitty at the time, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. It was a good match.
I mean, Jamie Noble matches were always very, very upright in technical ability, and obviously Rey Mysterio matches are Rey Mysterio, so
Yeah.
I'm sure they had a belter.
Did you say Jamie
I,
is a top 5 underrated guy of like the last 15 to 20 years?
do you know what? I really would. His match, and I'm sure I've said this on other podcasts. His match against the Hurricane, as much as we think he's a cunt, at King of the Ring 2002, possibly one of the greatest. I'm not going to say modern era cruiserweight matches because the modern era is all about 205 Live, but one of the greatest cruiserweight matches of the WWE
Of that,
2000
of the
era. Yeah,
style it
yeah,
was
of
then.
that time.
Like an early
Yeah,
Ring of
it
Honor
was.
style in a way.
Yeah,
Totally agree. But yeah, that wasn't on this pay-per-view after the Evanescence music played. And you know what? Very well done opening little video package, Matt.
yes, very much. Do you know what? And even the video packages, to compared to today, were just so much fucking better.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like everything that kicked off the show was a nice surprise. Quelle surprise, as they say in France. Very,
Back
very nice.
back then, even with like shit matches like Steiner and Triple H, which we'll get to, and just some matches, the way they had their video package to compare it to now, nowadays the video packages feel like Morgan Freeman's narrating something to you. And back then it was on your face like, yeah, man, yeah, yeah, just screaming and grabbing you by the throat and let's go, getting you hyped. And that's key word in that.
Yeah.
Not as much hype when their shows kick off now.
No.
Packages.
That's because it's suckle to hype, let's be honest. It's like,
Yeah.
here's a match you've seen 20 times on television. Are you hyped? Not really.
And I mean, to be fair, some of these matches, I mean, one of these was a rematch from Royal Rumble back to Scott Steiner again, but we did that a lot
Yeah.
back then too. But I don't just, I don't know what the difference is on it. But just pacing, I feel like to make the talent more credible in a way. Back then,
Yeah.
they were booked more aggressively to get themselves over, flat out.
Agreed. And it just feel. I mean, maybe it's a nostalgic feel, Travis. Because there's always a nostalgic feel when we go back to a retro review, but it just felt special.
Yeah.
And not only that, it felt. By the time we got to the end of the show, it felt like a real proper hype for WrestleMania, which we don't even get now with like Fastlane. So
Yeah. WWE is in a weird place right now with their booking currently. There's kind of some hype there for me, and it's not because I'm just going to it, to Mania that is, but it's just I like some of the stuff they're doing with Kofi. I do like the Kofi stuff. You know what I mean? It's something fresh, something.
yeah,
Anyway, 2003, before we get down to the actual show, as a whole, is one of the craziest years. 2003 started so strong, but it ended so lackluster for me. Because
yeah, correct.
by the end of this year, we had seen the Goldberg experiment. It flopped as him as champion. Triple H had already won it back a year
Yeah,
later. We were teasing Brock and Goldberg at like Survivor Series, and just we were bringing old Taker back. But who was his opponent? Kane. Yippee. And nothing. WrestleMania 20. And I don't know, man. 2003 is just what a roller coaster year for that company.
yeah, I agree. And I will just say, because he's not featured heavily on this card, I think 2003. The only good thing for me about like the last half of 2003 was how Randy Orton started to break away into a single star. It's like by Armageddon at the end, he'd won the Intercontinental title from Rob Van Dam, and then
Yeah.
he was well on his way to being ready for the main event, arguably in January of 2004. So
I'd say
I think they did.
the other biggest breakthrough guy out there would be Eddie Guerrero, because a year from now he was just getting ready, like 2 months away from that match with Brock where he won the title. But this time he was what, Los Guerreros still?
I think he was, yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
This show kicked off with Chris, by the way, in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, in the arena where Brett got screwed, all that stuff. Montreal and Canadian crowds this time for sure. Always known for being a little different, but man, you got to give it to this crowd, Matt. They were giving some utter shit. They were giving some goodness, but they were on their feet for literally almost this entire goddamn show.
Yeah. Hyped. A hyped crowd. And again, something else you don't see nowadays. It's just like they wanted to see it. They'd paid their ticket. They wanted to have fun. And it didn't matter whether it was Steiner or whether it was Jericho. They were going to have a good time.
Speaking of having a good time, Chris Jericho always had a good time when he was in Canada with a hero's welcome.
Yes.
Going against Jeff Hardy in this match. Both Hardy brothers on the show, both in their first attempts at singles runs. Boy, were they in different places. Let's get to Jeff first. This was Jeff's notorious, not so bright place and time in his life, obviously, from the fluorescent paint. You think it's bad now, that he just didn't care then. He'd wipe it on his ass, he'd put it all over his face. Sense he was so smacked off his tits, but somehow, some way for me, I don't know your thoughts on it. These guys went 13 minutes almost on the dot, by the way. Um, Good match.
Yeah.
Good match. I enjoyed this. It was a perfect opener. As over as Jericho was, you could tell, and it's such a shame looking back. Jeff Hardy was ready to break through the singles. Jeff Hardy was just as over in this match. He definitely had his fans. He was getting booed a little bit because of the Canadian hero, but he definitely had a collection of fans that hung with him. And it's a shame he couldn't control the demons because if he would have kept on a straight and narrow and never left for TNA by the end of this year and had his drug issues, could have been a top guy for sure. You remember that ladder match he had in 02 with the Undertaker that made him
Yes.
that time,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
Good
Again,
match.
completely agree. Great match. I felt like you say it went 13 minutes. That surprised me because it felt like it went a little bit longer. I don't know why, but great counters, some great near falls. What more can you want from the first? Was it the first Canadian pay per view since Survivor Series '97?
Man, that can't be is it?
Do you know? I'm sure Jim Ross or Jerry Lawler said the first time they'd returned to Canada for a pay per view. I know they'd had Raws and SmackDowns, etc. in Canada, but the first actual pay per view since '97. I'm thinking it can't be right, surely.
Unbelievable if that's true. And you would have never known
So
because Jesus Christ, people were cheered here. You would never think of be allowed to set foot in Montreal again.
yeah, exactly. And do you know what? Saying that, I'm thinking it can't be right because of WrestleMania 18.
Yeah, yeah. Skydome.
So get your fucking facts right, people.
All right, second show. We're close. Chris Jericho wins with the Walls of Jericho match with a kind of a tease.
Yes.
Good back and forth segments here. And Hardy
Yep.
he didn't look like he was smacked off his tits. He looked like he was ready to work a good match, and that's what he did, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I love the little struggle at the end. Like he didn't tap out straight away. It was just like a real hero struggle before he couldn't make it. I like that.
Where did that take us to next, Matt? Tag team action?
Took us to a bit of Shawn Michaels coming out to save Jeff Hardy to a very bitter reaction, which I thought was very nice. But yeah, that took us to the Tag Team Championship match next. RVD and Kane versus Regal and Storm. And this was very much an RVD and Kane who were in, the beginning of their relationship together.
Yeah.
And I always liked RVD and Kane as a team. I don't know your feelings on them, Travis, but for me, like as a teenager,
100% agree with you. I love this team. I love Kane and X-Pac. And I say it all the time, I'm a fan of the big brother, little brother combination and tag team. And Van Dam, these two they made it work. They were thrown together on paper, looks like a mess as a tag team, but man, they made it work. They became a cohesive unit.
Yes, they did. And I always thought Kane, I mean, people disagree because there's marks out there, but I always thought Kane looked better in a team than he did as a single star.
It's certain, like this outfit, Kane, totally. I was never a fan of this look of Kane. Like debut Kane, I liked him as, obviously the monster, invincible guy, but there's different levels of Kane.
I mean, fine, but I meant like as an actual wrestler. Like, I always thought he fitted the tag team role better
because he didn't have to actually work a whole match. But he
yeah.
was one of the better giants. He's got to be in anyone's list one of the best workers as a giant in his prime.
I would say at the beginning of his career, yeah, not so much at the latter part, but I think in tag teams, like he had a certain role. He'd maybe have 4 minutes total in the ring. He'd do his spots. He could make it look tight and neat, and then get out and let somebody arguably more capable carry the rest. I thought that was a perfect role for Kane.
I agree. And going against a team, It's unbelievable all the shows we've done now, Matt. We've never talked about this team considering William Regal's in it. I always
Hmm.
find this pairing hilarious and like it was a rib because have you ever seen the clip of these two where Lance Storm like messed up, accidentally stiffed Regal, and Regal just beat the shit out? It was on like a botchamania.
I don't think I have.
Yeah,
Now I need to see that.
it was before this. And anyone that hasn't, look it up. He just destroys Lance Storm. It was like when you know they first bought WCW. It's one of Lance Storm's first television matches. You don't piss off William Regal. Lance Storm found that out. But I always thought that was a rib. Like they were still bad blood. Because this is only like a year later, a year and a half later.
Yeah.
What did you think of this pairing? Because I flat out, as a gimmick or whatever have you, I thought it was lazy.
I mean, gimmick lazy. I thought team wise, very wise choice. Regal's one of the greatest English technicians ever. Lance Storm is just a great technician, period. So I thought the pairing, good. You know, they played off each other well, and in the ring they matched each other perfectly. But yeah, gimmick wise, just fucking
Yeah.
disgustingly.
The work, tremendous. On paper,
Yeah.
tremendous. In ring, this was a good match for me. I didn't hate this match either. But
Nope.
just purpose-wise, generic. Just, hey, this is my country's flag. Oh, this is my country's flag. And boo, you're not from here. That's it.
Yeah, that was it. And can I just say there was another botch on commentary, and second botch, where I think it was Coach. He said that RVD had made his debut 1 year earlier at No Way Out against Goldust. That's
Yep.
fucking right.
False.
So what the fuck are these people reading and being fed? Did they not do their homework?
It was Invasion '01 against Jeff Hardy, right? That was his pay-per-view debut, I thought.
Exactly, and even if you didn't count that because he wasn't a WWE guy, he was, arguably ECW, WCW Alliance guy. He was still a WWF guy at Vengeance 2001 against The Undertaker after the Invasion angle had ended. So
Maybe, just maybe, Coach meant it was his No Way Out debut. Because then he'd be correct. But he didn't say that, and he fucked up. Shame on you. At least
fucking
Goldust
Coach.
shout out, because he was nowhere to be found in this show.
Yes,
Um,
yeah.
what'd you
Agreed.
think of
I-
did you think the finish to this was stupid, or you thought it was clever and it worked?
I mean, I thought it built the tension between Kane and RVD well, and obviously they made them look like opportunistic heels. I would have preferred a stronger ending, maybe. I don't know. There's just something a little hokey, if you like, about Kane having his mask pulled over his eyes, and it was like, could you not have fixed that easily instead of stumbling about like a blind man looking for a porno? It's like just pull it round. It shouldn't have caused you that much problem, but it did.
That was my biggest
I
complaint.
don't.
Made Kane look like a moron.
Yeah, absolute moron. No, I will
Like,
say I did. Watching this. I do miss seeing William Regal in the ring.
and also, I never understood that. Even if like salt's thrown in the guy's eyes, a mask is turned around, God forbid, anything like that happens. Apparently, that affects your hearing too, because Van Damme was going, "It's me," or anytime this happens,
Yeah,
babyface goes, "No, it's me." So apparently, you're deaf too when this happens. That's my other complaint. I hate the spot
yeah.
when it's done like this. I didn't like the finish. It took away from a pretty decent little match. But at least Regal and Storm retained because for some reason going into this, I swore that Van Damme and Kane won the belts here. I don't know why.
Did I did they, when did they win the belts? I'm thinking WrestleMania, but then I'm also thinking Judgment Day.
You see, I think they were on Sunday Night Heat for WrestleMania because I taped WrestleMania 19 on VHS and I always taped like Heat before it on the same,
Yeah,
make it one long thing. Because the SmackDown tag titles were on WrestleMania 19 that year, not the Raw titles.
I think that's something I'm gonna have to look into.
Yeah. What did you think of this match just in general, not just finish, but as a whole? Tag title match.
Yeah, I thought it was a good match. It could probably have been a little more exciting and gone maybe a tiny bit longer, but all in all, good tag match, good representation of the division. And let's be honest, it's William Regal. It's like I don't think he's ever had an absolute stinker in the ring. So yeah,
I can't.
a man who should have been world champion, by the way.
Was this the Eric Bischoff, Vince McMahon backstage thing yet, or was that later?
No, that was later. This was the Matt Hardy shit promo that felt like they were rushing through it.
Oh yeah. Not known for his promos at that time. Honestly, not known for his promos until the Woken gimmick.
Yeah, agreed. And then we got the Cruiserweight Championship match next. Kidman and Matt Hardy.
We may differ
I mean,
on this.
I think we will have different opinions on this. I didn't enjoy it at all. I thought it was very, very slow. I wanted something. I appreciate the technical stuff and not everything can be, flips and dives, etc. And again, maybe I came into this in the wrong mindset after a week of non-stop watching wrestling for my new book. I wanted something exciting and it didn't give me it.
I'll come clean. This show took me 3 days to watch because of my in real life schedule. So I'd watch a little bit one night and have to go to bed or something like that.
Yeah.
It was one of those little come back to it moments. I loved the pacing of this match because it's so opposite from my biggest gripe of today. Is just it's too fast paced. There's not enough psychology spots, making
Mm-hmm.
every no wasted motion type thing. And I feel like this match had a no wasted motion type feel. And I feel like Matt Hardy, this was obviously he won the cruiserweight title in this. We'll get to the finish in a second, but I love this gimmick. I love the version 1 gimmick. I thought it was hilarious. I feel like it could have been taken more seriously when they turned him babyface in '04 when he was on Raw. It had
Yeah.
legs to it. It could have gone either way. They could have gone serious with it.
Yeah. I mean, I loved the version 1, all the version 1 stuff, especially like his little Matt facts when he came out on his
Yes.
Titantron. That was amazing.
How does that make you feel, Matt? What's a Matt fact for this show? What food product do you hate?
Food product I hate. Do you know what? I'm not going to say I hate it because I've never tried it, but the little Matt fact is I've never tried curry. So there you go. And it's
all right.
quite popular here in the UK.
It's okay. I like wasabi better than curry. Anyway, there's a Matt fact. Maybe we'll have a Matt fact every week, and I'll make a graphic. Who knows? There was Billy Kidman. This was right. This was the twilight, pretty much, of his career. Because after this, he'd be in a tag team with Paul London. And pretty much, I think they won the belts on SmackDown, right?
Yeah, and then faded away hideously.
They were kind of like the Can-Am connection of the Strike Force of the mid 2000s.
That's a good way to describe it, actually.
This was it. And Kidman still looked good here. Way more generic. I wish he would have just never left the wife beater and jean shorts behind. That was always my favorite Kidman look. But
yeah,
what?
They want to clean him up.
He still wrestled for me in this match like a Kidman of like 98 or 99. Like I said, the finish was twist of fate off the top rope after a distraction from Shannon Moore, the MF or the follower, who I thought played real well. Crowd pop big for Matt, definitely behind Matt Hardy in this match, and this was a feel-good moment for Matt Hardy fans. Obviously, he'd go to Mania against Rey Mysterio in a great opener for the Cruiserweight title.
Yeah, love that.
What did you think of this match and just this time for his career and his reign as Cruiserweight champion?
I thought giving him the Cruiserweight title was a wise move. He didn't really have anything else going, I don't think. I mean, thinking back to 2002, he was Brock Lesnar's lackey for a bit in the feud with The Undertaker. Didn't do him any favours at all. So I think, giving him the V1 gimmick and Shannon Moore as his lackey, and then putting the Cruiserweight title on him so he could have his own little storyline going into WrestleMania. I thought it was all very good. I thought the gimmick wore itself out as 2003 went on. But then, every gimmick's got a shelf life, Travis, especially if you push it onto TV every week. So he did the best with it that he could in the end. To begin with, it was great. Towards the end, it was a case of do the best with the tools you've got.
I remember there was a point, too, in that year where there felt like a point he was going to break through because he started having matches like almost every week with The Undertaker on SmackDown.
Yeah.
And it felt like they were going to put him on, but then he just ended up like losing all of them, right?
Yeah. They weren't going to put him over The Undertaker. Not a chance.
But for a guy like him to find, be a tag guy all those years, that was probably pretty big for him to be out there with the Taker, at least. Obviously, we'd see what happen with like the breakup and him leaving, coming back. But Billy Kidman go on to be an agent, cutting his hair, splitting up Tori Wilson, gaining a few pounds, and he's still an agent to this gorilla, probably right now on the phone with Vince.
I think it's a good role for him, the agent role. It's like, personally, I'd have put him as an agent on 205 Live. I don't know whether he serves on 205 Live as well as um, Raw and SmackDown, etc. But his knowledge of cruiserweight, wrestling could have really done 205 Live some good, especially in the early days.
Knowing their logic, he's probably like Braun's agent.
You imagine him backstage. Now, Braun, what I want you to do is try and do a flip off the top rope.
Well, this show immediately went from one of the highlights for me to definitely the low light of the show, Matt. Undertaker, American Badass, the Big Show. You're the Undertaker expert. Give us all the facts, dish to us. Did this make the book, by the way?
Oh, it made the book. Almost every match he had on television made the book. I don't recall it getting a glowing review from me in the book, so it was terrible, wasn't it? It's like this was an atrocity of professional wrestling, if you can even call it professional wrestling.
I didn't. Once again, the video package was pretty well done right before the match. Undertaker got a great reaction, and he just went right out of the bat. It started out as brawl on the outside, right? It was very aggressive. Undertaker playing off the build and the angle, which at first, for like the first 2.5 minutes, all right, this is going to be okay. But
You should have set your expectations a lot lower.
these guys,
This did not look good at all.
these guys didn't look good at all. They looked like they were blown up 5 minutes in. So
Yeah,
his
I mean, it was your typical Big Show shit, really, wasn't it? A lot of nothing. It went way too long. Oh, I could have swear it went nearly 15 minutes, Travis. I mean, I didn't time it, and I could have looked on Wikipedia, but I swear it went so fucking long.
I will pull it up right now. Actually, this match went. My God, this match went 14 minutes and 8 seconds.
I fucking knew it went nearly 15.
I thought it was
Utter
like
bullshit.
8. Good God.
Well, it was 14 minutes. That seemed like fucking 34.
I guess this does have a historical note to it. This was the debut of the Hell's Gate, I'm pretty sure.
Yes. Yeah, because they didn't even have a name for it yet. So they just called it the Triangle Choke.
It was just basically Taz getting excited that he could throw in some MMA, UFC references. He was in his mind. I was like his fan. I'm a pretend MMA guy.
Yeah.
Undertaker. They both kind of kicked out of everything. They both kind of threw out the kitchen sink, and
Yeah.
on Desperate Undertaker threw out the Hell's Gate. The crowd was kind of confused, I think, to the finish at first. Like, did Big Show pin him? Because nobody had really. MMA was popular, but it hadn't caught on like it would in about 4 years after this. So it was like, but
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
announcer Taz was sure as shit excited. That was the finish. What did you think of the finish?
I thought the finish was fine. I was just thankful that it had finished. After this. Now, I was quite surprised that ring general like the Undertaker, he couldn't spot when this had reached its peak. It was worrying that he actually completed the 14 minutes and got like 9 minutes in and thought, actually, we're still doing really well.
Yeah.
So for all the times in professional wrestling, you want to call an audible and say, right, we're ending this early. It's this match. And Undertaker wouldn't have got a bollocking backstage if he'd just gone, do you know what? It wasn't working. I ended it early for, the sake of everyone.
Exactly. Let's cleanse our palates and wipe this awful taste out of our mouth with before we get to probably the best wrestling match on this card. There was a backstage thing. This is right when Edge injured his neck, correct?
Yes.
This is how they wrote him off television, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we saw before the Undertaker match that he had been attacked by so-called mystery assailant, and then this was just him being taken out of the arena on a stretcher, and Benoit and Lesnar deciding that they were going to, go it alone in a handicap match against Team Angle.
My favorite part is the first thing you see is Brock Lesnar standing there, and the camera zooms in, and the officials and whoever came up. I think it was Stephanie too, and Brock just. The acting and the tone and the way he said, I don't know, I just saw him here. I found he could not give 2 fucks less right here. Like, oh my goodness, Brock.
Oh my God.
And
It was
I don't
so
know
wooden.
if they were going for like was this to turn Brock heel? Because it felt like they were just turning babyface. But the way it was shot, it looked like Brock was the assailant. So it was like, what was the point of that? Why couldn't he just come in with Benoit? Like, why couldn't it just show Edge by himself at first? Then Benoit and Brock like, oh man, what happened? Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Made no sense.
But then Brock's never been the greatest actor, has he? Or talker. So,
Or babyface.
or, or wrestler. I mean, I'm not going to say or wrestler because he was a good wrestler at the very beginning
Yeah.
before he got a lazy bastard. But, yeah, Brock Lesnar does what Brock Lesnar does.
Yeah. What was this now the Eric Bischoff segment?
This was the Eric Bischoff segment, yes.
Chuck Chief Morley, aka the Venus, his right-hand man at the time, Raw general manager, the storyline at the time, Steve Austin. He was coming back. This was, we all know the walkout a year later in 02. This was the first time he would make an appearance back after all the turmoil and backstage heat. It was a big deal. It was one of the most anticipated things at that time. It was huge. And I these two always played well together, Bischoff and Austin. I feel like Bischoff's underrated for that chicken shit heel. I thought for having no experience really before the NWO on-air character, he did fine.
Yeah.
I thought he was very hateable, obviously.
Yeah, he was a wonderful heel, Eric Bischoff. I don't think he gets the credit for, for what he did, especially during this Austin part. I mean, afterwards he'd go on to, still have a good heel character, right up to when he was fired by Vince McMahon on television. But I think during this story and the story that would lead out of it into the warring general managers of Raw up to Survivor Series, I thought he did a wonderful job. Loved Eric Bischoff as a heel.
Pretty much though, this segment was him bragging to Chief Morley about how, and Morley was like, I got all these guys on standby, Jericho, Regal, to help us out if needed. Here comes Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Another weird thing is playing one of maybe the biggest heel still in the company at the time, playing a baby face role here, just for his heat with Bischoff, to make Bischoff look like a douchebag. I don't get
Yep.
Again.
Do you know what I love most is that Shawn Michaels and Earl Hebner got shit for what they did to Brett, and yet Vince McMahon backstage, the reception, he got treated like a hero by the audience. There wasn't one fucking boo or anything when he walked in on Eric Bischoff.
It was really weird. Really, really weird. But it was Vince McMahon bragging to Eric Bischoff how if anyone interferes, they'll be fired and you'll be removed from your position and blah, blah, blah. So Eric Bischoff's on his own, and it looked like he had just been sentenced to the electric chair, and he played that look perfectly.
Yes.
Up next, one of my favorite underrated stables of all time, Team Angle, Kurt Angle, Charlie Benjamin, going up against Brock Lesnar and Chris Benoit, 2 out of 3 handicap match, really supposed to be Edge. I like the story they're telling, how the baby faces, they don't care. They're going to be brave and, adversity. And I thought that was a good look, and it made sense. It was Brock. It's not like he didn't have backup himself. It was, he who shall not be named.
I mean, it's nice to see him turn up for work, but I thought, going back to the Team Angle thing, I thought Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas, the world's greatest tag team, them as they were in 2003 in NXT today, can you imagine the combination and what else they could have achieved match-wise?
Them in the Revival, them in American Alpha, them in DIY.
Even them in AOP. When AOP could put in the shift.
Yeah.
I just think, right wrestlers, wrong era.
I think they would have broke through in that golden era too of tag teams in the late 80s as like an Olympic gimmick team, as baby faces.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of like an American British Bulldogs, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a perfect analogy for them. It's just a shame that they were such a good team, but for the most part, they were just shackled in the wrong era. It's like there weren't any truly great teams, from 2003 to 2000, and maybe 2008. Maybe there was one or two, but no one on their level, I'd say. And any other era, there'd have been much bigger stars than they were.
Exactly. Anybody that doesn't agree, you're just not doing your homework. Flat out. This match, probably the best entering match of the night. This said everything. Everybody got their stuff in. I don't think Charlie Haas looked exactly strong in this match, but other than that, pretty good. Everybody they played their part well.
Yes.
I don't know. Certain things sometimes make sense. Other things don't. It's surreal to me to go back. This just doesn't make sense. how Kurt Angle's neck, how bad a condition it was at the time. I don't know if if he's not human, a cyborg, a mutant. How is he capable of pulling this off to this day? I don't understand how he was even able to walk with all of his issues. But he looked great.
Yeah, yeah, you can't deny that. I mean, his whole run, from I think let's say from Armageddon 2002 to WrestleMania when he fought Shawn Michaels, like that whole run.
Yeah.
It's like, it's amazing how he did it. It's like, how was he still walking from day to day?
He should have been held up by
Especially when
pins
you've
and
got
needles for those 2 years.
he did remarkably well on pins and needles, considering Austin was took to the hospital the night before WrestleMania 19, and he could barely walk or function. And
He had the flu, right?
Austin had only been back in the ring for a month.
Yeah. He was beat up already, and he had flu really bad or something too, or pneumonia, was it?
Yep, yep.
Crazy. And to compare their work rates too, to think that Kurt Angle would still be going to this day and Austin would retire first, because he was a much safer worker than Kurt Angle.
Yeah. There were no moonsaults with Austin or fucking ridiculous moves, but yeah, Kurt Angle just seemed to soldier on.
But
and all credit to him for doing that.
Man, people talk about your Hakus and your barbarians and stuff like that. Kurt Angle's got to be one of the toughest human beings ever, not just in wrestling, to be able to just, my God. Proof is in the pudding. Go back, guys. Watch this show. Watch this era of Angle and look at his health issues, coincide them and compare them, and just your mind will be blown at the things you're watching from a man who should be in a wheelchair.
And it's let's be honest, he didn't have an easy shift on any night. Like, he was fighting Benoit regularly in 2003, especially at the beginning. So
that Royal Rumble match a month before was tremendous.
That was an amazing match. And then he had Lesnar at WrestleMania, and then feuded with Lesnar throughout 2003. These weren't easy matches on him. He was being dropped hard, and he's being hit hard. So whatever that man's made of, I'd like some.
And that WrestleMania 19 match flat out almost killed both guys. Brock almost killed himself, and Kurt is lucky to be walking after that match. That took a lot out of both guys' careers. Just that one match. Unbelievable.
Yes.
My, oh my, oh my, oh my. It's time to flex. Oh, by the way, Charlie Haas submitted to the Crypto Crossface. It's time to flex. One of my least favorite feuds of all time, Matt, is next.
Could that be Triple H versus Scott Steiner?
Ding, ding, ding.
The video. Do you know what? The video package for this was maybe my least favorite video package of the entire night. Because the only thing
Scott
this video
Steiner
package...
to Evanescence.
But the only thing this video package did for me was remind me of the horror that they went nearly 20 minutes at the Royal Rumble, and then how badly Scott Steiner just fell apart on live television. That's the only thing this video package did for me.
I've never seen a crowd ever turn on a guy who was just came into the company, a red hot babyface, turn on a guy based on his work rate faster than that crowd did at the Royal Rumble with Scott Steiner. Not to mention the fact that his fucking thong was sticking out for the whole match. But he was just crumbling by the end of it. He could barely stand. He was so blown up. It was pathetic. You could didn't prepare for that match with Triple H. The crowd turned on instantly. And to cheer Triple H at this time, this is the reign of terror. Nobody wanted to cheer Triple H. People were fucking over it already. Even by this time, early 03, the beginning of Evolution. I was already sick of it. It was boring. Yeah. The most boring, dominant champions ever was this era Triple H for me.
Agreed.
I don't pull punches, man. I gotta be honest. I'm not gonna lie to the people, or you of all people. And I gotta say, it's pretty bad when I want Triple H to win. But that's what happened, and the crowd was no different. This crowd knew going in what Scott Steiner was going to do. They were not in Scott Steiner's corner for this. They were totally behind Triple H. And if anything, it is really fucking sad, Matt, that this piss-poor feud, historically, once again on the show, something shitty will go down historically. Pretty much, Scott Steiner's responsible for the formation of Evolution.
Yes.
Explain.
Yeah, agreed. Sorry. Forgot where we were now.
Randy Orton looks really weird with his hair, by the way. It's hard to take him seriously.
Oh, yeah. Yes, he does. Yeah, floppy-haired Randy Orton.
This match
Almost as
was no
bad as
different,
Scott
though.
Steiner.
This
But
was this was
I
no
mean,
different than '03 Royal
what can you say
Rumble. This
about the
match
match? It
sucked.
was. I did look this up, Travis. 13 and a half minutes this got.
Awful. Anything redeeming about this match for
It
you,
was
Matt?
utterly. Um, I mean, the only redeeming thing about the match was the formation of Evolution. I think that was it.
And that happened before the fucking
Scott
match. That
Steiner was
happened on
fucking
Raw
poor.
before this.
Triple H wasn't much better. I mean, for a man of Triple H's caliber, and for the wrestler Scott Steiner used to be, because he didn't have complete stinkers in the final days of WCW. Scott Steiner, there were moments, of the old Scott Steiner there that Triple H couldn't pull a half decent match out of somebody who had once had the ability like Scott Steiner. It was disgusting. It was just like they both turned up for a paycheck. An absolute mess. An absolute mess that played out to constant boos. Like the whole 13 minute was just filled with jeers from the audience. It was horrible to watch.
This is one of the reasons I'm thankful today, and I know there's flaws to it, but I'm thankful we have a performance center and an NXT. You can
Yeah.
tell me that there wasn't one welcome back to the company tryout match for Steiner. Nobody could see how he worked at this time. Like, what are you doing? And it's
I think
bad
there was.
enough it flopped at the Rumble. They just kept the train a moving. Didn't not
Yeah.
give a shit. Hell or high water,
I think.
we're getting Scott Steiner over, and it got worse and worse to the point where these two matches and this one feud, they were forced to turn him heel and tag him a test 2 months later.
Yes. Yeah. I think they were just happy to have an opponent for Triple H after Shawn Michaels and someone to bridge the gap between him and Booker T at WrestleMania.
Batista,
I do
by the way.
I do question the logic, Travis, of watching that Royal Rumble match and then thinking, Jesus, this has got a rematch in it.
Hey,
It's
man.
just like you could have picked anyone else on that roster, but no, you picked Scott Steiner.
Maybe this little light of mine gleaming, shimmering glimpse of hope in this match. It didn't make Steiner look weak in the finish because it did take all of Evolution. That the announcers drove it home that it did take all of Evolution to stop Scott Steiner. He still looks strong in defeat, but still,
Yeah,
it's a
it was
lost
Scott
cause.
Steiner.
It was
Thank fuck they
horrible.
didn't put him. Thank fuck they didn't put him on the WrestleMania card.
Nope, didn't even make it. Didn't even make it on Sunday Night Heat before WrestleMania, I don't think. It was horrible. I could not recommend anything less than any match in the future. Matt probably agrees. Stay away, stay far away. If you watch this and go back on the network, just skip. Take our word for it. You're missing nothing.
You're saving yourself time, if anything. This is 13 and a half minutes of your life that you could use for anything else.
Yep. So Triple H retains after Evolution interferes. Hits another shitty pedigree because Satsan, and that was that. Let's cleanse our palates again. This time, finally, I promise something good, Matt.
Yes, Steve Austin versus Eric Bischoff, and by God, have we heard a reaction for a man coming back or debuting like we did for Stone Cold Steve Austin here? It was absolutely brilliant, considering in Canada in the 90s he was a despised heel because of the Bret Hart thing.
Both.
Yeah, it was just love Bret in Canada, hate Austin, and then different everywhere else around the world.
I remembered this reaction being insane and off of memory, but I had forgotten how insane it was until I gone back and watched it for this review. This officially will make my top 3 loudest pops ever. This, when Mick Foley won the title with Austin's help on that Raw in '98, and Jericho's debut are still the 3 loudest pops I've ever heard in wrestling. This is insane. And this may take the cake as louder than both of them.
Yes, I agree.
Not only when
I
the
think
music hit, but when he first appeared. Holy shit.
Yeah,
I had to turn my
I think fans were still like, is he actually going to turn up, or is this going to be a rib? Like, is Eric Bischoff going to, stand out there and go, well, I couldn't get Austin, but I tried my best.
And that was part of the brilliance of it. And that built to the anticipation more. Hence
Yeah,
that insane fucking reaction.
I think everything it was just everything that built to to how special this was. Even Jim Ross coming out at the beginning and going, "I've come to see a man get his ass whipped." It was just like pulling out all the stops to make this feel special, and it did. The match itself was just not even a match. It was it was a squash. But even I've never known a squash match to feel this special. It was just brilliant. Austin was the old Austin. He wasn't the he wasn't the watered down saccharine version we'd seen during 2001 and the beginning of 2002.
Jean
This
shorts.
was the 90 this was the 98 Austin, and it was the perfect vehicle for him to come back.
And I hate to say it, he's one of my favorites of all time, but God, he was juiced to the gills in this match.
Yeah.
Holy Lord. This may be the most juiced Austin has ever been in his entire career.
Yeah.
This is a squash match done right. I totally agree. And I love the hilarious attempt at a kick from Eric Bischoff and Austin just laughing. That got a pop from me. Anything. Austin breathed. Austin farted. Austin clipped his toenails in this match. The crowd went insane.
Yeah.
Everyone's so and just as big of a star in this match was Jim Ross. Maybe one of my favorite Jim Ross moves. He was so excited, and they just kept showing him on camera, and he was rubbing Coach like, "Come on, why aren't you excited?" And just
Yeah.
it was like three stunners. I love the Austin pulling Bischoff's arm up every time, to torture him more. They kept referencing
It was just magic.
WCW. He fired him in '95. Just well done. One of the best moments ever. I feel like in that company of all time is this segment.
Yeah, yep. Everything came together to make it brilliant.
That led us to main event time. One of the most hyped, most anticipated rematches of all time. Could it live to the glory of their first match? I didn't think it would at the time. It didn't looking back, but it wasn't bad,
No,
I guess, for what it was.
I mean it was fine. It was
Yeah.
more about having Hulk Hogan in the main event, and I think building the Rock towards something else. I think that was what it was more about for me as I was watching it. It wasn't really about the action because the action wasn't all that great.
Yeah.
The WrestleMania 18 match was head and tail was above this, but a cocky dickhead Rock always came off well, and what better person to put him against than Hulk Hogan, who was somehow still over in 2003.
Yeah. Got another crazy reaction here from the crowd. Real quick, I hate it when WWE overdubs music, crowd action. It was very noticeable here with a generic ass version of Jimi Hendrix Voodoo Child. I don't know why, because like I have the Hulk Hogan anthology DVD. On every DVD, they just dub over the Real American theme, and it's fine. Why not here?
Yeah. Well, WWE for you.
It was awful. I hate that. It takes away so much sometimes.
Yeah.
The match, I tell you what, I prefer this over Cena and Rock too any day.
Yes. Prefer this over Cena and Rock would any day.
Rock was fresh back in the company this time. This was after Rock was kind of in John Cena territory when he came back in '03 at first, if you remember. It was like that Raw anniversary from WWF New York. They showed him. It was the
Yeah.
first time the fans thoroughly booed him because he did like a via satellite interview, and from there they just turned him heel. This may be my most favorite time in The Rock's entire career. This goddamn entrance music is so badass. It's so cool. I love it. I love his care. I just love how he executed it. Eventually
Yeah.
backfired and the fans cheered him against like Goldberg and they had no choice but to just make him a babyface and Mick Foley at WrestleMania 20 again. But this is my favorite version of The Rock.
Really?
It is. I love the skits with the hurricane. I love the, I don't know, man. Guilty pleasure.
I mean, entertainment wise, I would agree with you, but wrestling wise, I'd say 2000 Rock is my favourite Rock. So it depends what you're judging it on, really. But definitely Heel Rock had some of the best segments and moments and lines, and the fucking concerts with the guitar. Yeah, very good. Also,
I-
in this match, did you notice they called Hulk Hogan an entertainer?
yeah.
It's like I listened to that and I thought you've obviously never watched any of his movies, otherwise you would not be saying that live on television.
Obviously they don't own a copy of Mr. Nanny. I actually like that. Um,
Stop it.
this match though, as a match, I mean, it was pretty paint by numbers from their last match as far as just,
Yeah.
what went down. There were like 2 consecutive sharpshooters. There was a Hawk up, there was a rock bottom, a big boot and a leg drop. We thought Hawk was going to win again. All of a sudden, the lights go out. Maybe one of the most disappointing goddamn lights go out surprise of all time. They come on. Got a new referee. One of your favorite guys of all time, Matt.
Um, hang on, I'm lost.
Sylvain Grenier.
Oh, Sylvain Grenier, yeah, who looked awful throughout this match, Travis. It was like, did you see when they were in the corner and they were doing something and he's just waving his hands at them and just shouting a lot of rubbish? It's like, could you not have sent him to referee school for a week and just learn how to fucking, just learn? You've got a host of referees in the back, learn from them. But no, he looked awful. Like you said, the
Sylvain
lights
Grenier, I'm pretty sure, and I've heard this in a couple interviews, he was one of those guys that Johnny Ace interviewed out of like a modeling magazine. And that's
makes
the
sense.
gimmick they ended up giving him, right? That weird
Yeah,
model when he was a single.
yeah.
Uh,
That makes complete sense. Like you said, the lights come back on. Grenier's down, and then Vince McMahon comes down to the ring, and as it cuts
Speaking of
back to the ring, Grenier slides the chair to the Rock. He levels Hogan, and is it a rock bottom or a people's elbow? I think that
rock bottom, a shitty rock bottom.
rock bottom. Yeah,
Because Hogan can only jump ever 2 inches above the ground when he's choke slam from the Undertaker. Anything, Hogan can't jump at all.
and that was it. Rock bottom for the win, and I thought it led. I mean, match wasn't up to much, but I thought it led nicely into the Hogan Vince McMahon build for WrestleMania.
Yeah, I agree. And that match was tremendous. Vince's facial expressions, just the Piper debut, all that stuff.
Yeah,
Matt, we did it. That was No Way
we did it.
Out. That's how the show went off the air. Was Vince McMahon mocking Hogan in a Hogan shirt, putting like brother sucked and weird stuff, and ripping it off like Hogan. Speaking of juiced, Vince McMahon, a juiced Vince. We're going off the air, and that was it. That was No Way Out 2003. I give this show a B plus. I enjoy it, and I would recommend it. Has something for everyone, like we said at the top of this half.
Yeah, I would give it. I'm going to go just a normal B. I think just because of there was some bits in it I didn't like at all. The Undertaker Big Show match, it just brought it down for me. I didn't enjoy the cruiserweight title matches as much as you did. I just thought there were a few things that could have been better, but overall, very good nostalgic event, and I think one of the better ones as 2003 rolled on.
Most definitely. And to thank all you guys who voted on Twitter for what episode.
Yeah.
But sorry to burst bubbles. Our next retro review we are actually gonna pick. We're gonna treat ourselves and doing something totally different this time because we're talking off air. We don't go visit this time enough. Where are we headed next?
We are headed to WCW Wrestle War 90.
Yeah.
Which should be very interesting. And unbelievably, Travis, only our second WCW event ever on Union Smack.
Yeah, the first Nitro was the only one we ever did.
There needs to be more of them.
The best time in WCW, probably besides like early '97, is this time for me. So I'm thoroughly excited to do that. Always excited to have you on one more time. Excited for you to plug your stuff. Where can everyone catch you once again, Matt, and all you do?
You can catch me on Twitter. I nearly forgot then, Travis. The light's coming up outside the window, and I nearly forgot where you can find me. You can find me on Twitter at The Perfect Tenant. You can find my book, The Undertaker: A Trip Down Death Valley, the official 2 Union Smack shirts, the official Hibiki TMD shirt at unionsmack.bigcartel.com. And thank you all for listening and buying and voting and being as interested as you still are.
And Matt, thank you again for having Mattitude, for letting me be a Mattitude follower. I will see you again next time when we visit WCW, my friend. As always, welcome into our at the Hibiki TMD. Hit that subscribe right down below for all the best in retro gaming and pro wrestling goodness. ProWrestlingJournal.com, Matt's book, UnionSmack.BigCartel.com, all that stuff. Until next week, Union Smack. Cheerio.
No way out.
Bye.